Hello, hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is Christine Crow here, and I just want to welcome you to the channel. I am super excited to share with you something which I've been doing for years, and I haven't even noticed that I was actually doing it because I, even though I was on YouTube for all these years, I didn't realize that I could actually give this information to yourselves as well. It didn't click. So I apologize for being so late in telling you this, amazing opportunity that you can do as care providers, because it never really dawned on me. And now I have said to some of my clients, I've said, you got to get onto YouTube. Let me help you with your YouTube. But I think a lot of people, really depending on the age group as well, are sort of like, I don't think I can show my face on YouTube. I feel embarrassed. I don't know what to say. I might sound funny. All of these objections were coming that way. But you know what? I had to do it. When I started in 2013 on YouTube, might have been before then, on YouTube, I sounded funny. I looked funny. I didn't even recognize myself. I was like, do I sound like that? Is that me? Oh, let me do that again. It didn't sound right. The best thing to do for all of you is just to get on and just practice. Do it. Just do it. You're going to make some mistakes. You look at some of my videos that I'm only just getting to grips with it now because of the regularity of how I'm uploading all the time. Yeah, because when I was doing videos, I would do videos for training, for example, and I'm going to be truthful and honest with you because I come from a teaching background, because that's what I used to do before I even started my own business, for example, serious business. Look, I have done everything from party planning. I've done everything from selling gold. I've done eBay. I've done Amazon. I've done so many different businesses that you would not believe. I've also done my own healthcare businesses for 20 years. And I've been through 3 recessions during that time of running my healthcare businesses. And let me tell you something, you should never keep all your eggs in one basket. And that is advice for a woman that's coming up to 60 years old. Never keep your eggs in one basket, because if you drop the basket, all the eggs break. All the eggs break. And I've always tried to do this multiple income stream, and that's why I've been like, I'm kind of like an octopus. I'm hyperactive as well from when I was a young child, for example, and although now I can calm it down and I'm in control, I was very hyperactive as a child. So I've got plenty of energy. So you probably see me on YouTube, I'm like posting like every day now, and I'm posting 4 or 5, and I'm doing shorts and I'm doing lives as well, because I've got lots of energy, and not everybody's the same, and I understand that. But like I said, I was on YouTube since 2013 on YouTube, talking about my business, coaching business, for example. I never even thought that, I could have, I suppose YouTube, when it came, I'm not even sure when YouTube actually came about. Was it 17 years ago? I can't even remember. But it wasn't something that everyone jumped onto because, we wanted that privacy, didn't we? We didn't want people to, we felt like we were showing everything to the world. Yeah, I don't know if some of you feel like that, for example, but that's how I felt when I first started using YouTube. But then I had to get over myself. When you've been through, and I'll give you a story of my life. I was born in Nottingham. My parents from Jamaica. They came to the UK, and then my mum, she was a nurse, so then we moved to America, and I lived in America for 10 years, for example. I went to high school in America, in Bronx, New York. We lived in an apartment building, which was, I think it's probably for lower rent or something like that. I don't know what it was called back then. It might have been, for low income families or something like that. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, because back then I don't know whether we mentioned things like that. And then I also came back to the UK when I was 19, because I got married at 19, and my husband at the time was abusive. So I left America because I really felt that I was frightened for my life and I didn't want to stay there. So I left and came back to the UK. And so there was my husband I was fleeing from. There was also an earthquake and a hurricane that year, and I was like, how many more signs do I need to leave? So I left. I took that leap of faith, and I left, and I went to the place that I was born, which is Nottingham in England, for example. So went back there, had a child at 23, and I became homeless with a child. So I was a single parent back then, and I had to go into a homeless shelter. So you may see me now and maybe you think, oh, she seems to have it all. But everyone's got a path that they've walked that you really wouldn't be able to, really wouldn't want to walk down that path. So we've all got our paths, we've all got our journeys. But I wanted to give you some idea about who I am, just in case you're seeing me for the first time and you don't know who I am. So like I said, I had a child, 23 years old. Didn't realize that I could actually claim benefit, because my parents, I didn't see them claim benefit, so I didn't know that there was such a thing even in the UK. No one told me. And my mother said, look, come home. And I was like, I am not going back to America, because my ex-husband is there, and I was frightened for my life. So I was like, no, I'm not going back. I've made my bed, I'm going to lie in it. I need to look after myself and my baby. So anyway, we became homeless, and like I said, I didn't realize I could have claimed housing benefit. But anyway, by the by, went into sheltered accommodation with a baby, and this is where my journey really started with care, for example. And I was there for probably about 3 months in this mother and baby unit, for example, and there was me with 5 other women in a room, and we had beds, for example, single beds, and then we'd have our cots next to us. And I thought to myself, I looked at my son and I said, we will never ever go through this again. I am so sorry that I'm putting you through this. This is not going to happen anymore. Because I felt as a mother. And then we managed to get housing. We had a social worker, she was very good, and she got us a house, 2-bed house. And I thought I'd won the lottery, it was a council house. Still, government owned council house property. I was in that house and still was struggling, didn't have much money. And guess what? I didn't even realize that I could have claimed benefit for being in that house. And then the social worker sorted out all the money for me. And I felt safe, because at that time what was happening, I was going through postnatal depression, because I just felt so helpless and I couldn't help my son. And if you've ever been through postnatal depression, you'll understand where I'm coming from. So I had to then start living life, having my own place, and trying to get back into some normality, for example. And I met this wonderful man called David Blackledge, and I was with him for 28 years. He passed away in 2017 from a brain tumor, and my mother passed away as well in 2017. So you imagine, I lost my husband at 10 a.m. 2017. He died from a brain tumor. Then my mother passed away on the same day at 10 p.m. in America. I was so tired. I wanted to be with my mother because I knew it was her last days, but I couldn't leave my husband and my children. It was such a difficult situation for me, but I overcame it. I overcame that challenge, and we built this dream together, because really the truth is I wanted to be a coach, and he is the one that turned around to me and said, how can you be a coach when you haven't done any healthcare businesses? Because I wanted to be a healthcare business coach, because my bank manager said, oh, you do really well, because I came from a teaching background. So I was teaching healthcare, I was teaching health and safety, I was teaching supervisory management, I was teaching communication skills. I was going into hospitals in the UK, into one hospital in the UK, Chichester Hospital, into the lecture theatre, and lecturing. If you've ever been in a hospital lecture room, you know that it is huge. Hundreds, thousands you can fit in there. So I was lecturing the staff members on health and safety. It was the most boringest subject you could ever come across. But this is why I talk the way I do, because I come from a teaching background, and I've had to slow myself down, very, very structured, in order to give a teaching lecture, for example. So this is the reason why I talk the way I do, because some of you, I think, have mentioned that I talk really slow, and I do, because that's who I am. But I'm trying this, online thing. But when I had my training, so I was going out training various organizations, etc., speaking to healthcare professionals, managers, etc., and I was helping them with their policies and procedures. And then I was like, I can be a coach. I spoke with my bank manager, because I was getting paid quite well as a teacher, for example. And back then, you got paid a very decent wage per student, for example. And the bank manager said, you could be a coach. So I was like, yeah, I could. I said, how much do you think I could charge? And he said, oh, you could charge £250. And that was back in 1993, for example. So I said to my husband, I said, oh, my bank manager, he said that, I'd make a good business coach.